Hello everyone, this is your Remedial session 1 and you have a time of 1 week to complete this. You have to study all the contents till 21st of December, that is Saturday. You have a week's time and report on the group that you are done with it. That will count as your attendance. And everyone must report, that is compulsory for everyone. And you have any doubt, you should be active and you should participate in the discussions and ask doubts on the group. Even if you are aware of most of this topic, just go through them, study once. You will have your test about this on Sunday. So let's begin with the session. The contents of today's session will be about features of Java, Java programming format, Java tokens, Java statements, Java data types, typecasting, and arrays. We will discuss only one-dimensional arrays this time. Multi-dimensional arrays will dive into that topic later. Okay. So beginning with the features of Java, these are bullet points or what you can elaborate on your answer if asked about features. You can visit this link for rectifying the answers. Okay. Remembering them by heart for exam. One or two sentences on each thing will do. First one is Java is a simple programming language. Now, simple is a relative term. In earlier times, the languages available were C, C++. As compared to them, Java was simpler. This term simple is coined in earlier times. And as we were well versed with Python before Java, we find it a bit difficult. But this is one of the features of Java that it is simple. Second one is Java is object oriented. Now, being object oriented, you have to keep in mind about two terms when it comes to object orientation, that is class and an object. Now, let us consider your primary, we'll take an example. Consider your primary memory or the RAM जो होता है, consider it as your real life, okay? And assume for now that you are an automobile designer, the one who designs cars, and you're asked by someone to make a car. So what you'll do, you'll pick up metal sheets and start hammering them into a car. No, that's not possible, right? वो कार बनेगा कि नहीं इसका कोई फिक्स्ड आंसर नहीं है. तो फर्स्ट व्हाट यू विल डू, यू विल टेक अ बुक or a paper and you will draw the design for the car. You will design the car yourself, and that thing is known as is similar to writing a class. Okay, you are making a layout of the car first. So when you have a layout of the car, क्या वो कार सच में रियल लाइफ में एग्जिस्ट करता है? नहीं, that only exists on the paper, and that is your class. And when you actually manufacture the car, looking at the glass, you look यहाँ पे क्या dimensions में metal cut करना है, यहाँ पे कौन सा motor fit करना है. So that is actually your what we can call it. That is actually your object. So an object is a real life example, a real life car in your memory. Okay. So that is how car and the blueprint you can match it with an object and a class. That is your object oriented programming. Okay, the next thing that comes into picture is robust. Now, this features like third one robust, then seventh feature architecturally neutral and high performance, portable. These features are kinda intertwined, kinda interrelated and similar in nature. So you won't find huge different topic answers. Okay, this will be kinda similar answers, but still remember one or two points on each. Uh, so robustness, coming back to robustness, because a program must execute reliably in variety of systems. Okay, आप आज इस लैपटॉप पे वर्क कर रहे हो, कल किसी दोस्त के लैपटॉप पे वर्क कर रहे हो, तो उसमें भी वो प्रोग्राम सिमिलर वे में एग्जीक्यूट होना चाहिए. And that is when robustness comes into picture. Java frees you from having to worry about many of the most common causes of programming errors. Its interpreter and compiler are at par. Okay, and this is a strictly typed language. Java is a strictly typed language, so it checks your code at compile time. These all things you can remember for robustness. Now platform independence is again the same thing. When you are running the code in Mac OS, the same code if you run in on Windows, it should give up the same result. Or if the hardware configuration is different, then also it should give the same result. That is your platform independence. Platform यानी device, किसी भी device पे same thing, same output देना चाहिए. That is your platform independence. Fifth one is secure. Java is a secure language. Now you can remember security, like later we'll dive into a topic where we study about access specifiers, which is, if anyone knows, that's public, private, protected. You can specify the classes, who can access those classes. So that is a security measure. You can define that कौन ये classes access कर सकता है. That is a security measure. So hence Java is a secure language. Multi-threading. Now multi-threading is something which is a new thing to us, and we'll learn about it in detail in the further lectures. But for now, remember that when in Python, it was an interpreted language, line by line compilation हो रहा था. Nothing was taking place simultaneously. But multi-threading is something that was simultaneous execution. Multiple smaller parts of a program work in a simultaneous manner. That is your multi-threading. Okay. Architecturally neutral. Now, what is architecturally neutral? The same thing as platform independence. Here you can write about hardware, whereas in platform independence you can mention about different operating systems. When it comes to architecture, the same program should give the same output on a Intel processor, and the same thing should be given out on the AMD processor. That is your architecture, na hardware configuration of a device. Again, portability, architecturally neutral, robust. These all are similar things. So portable is again same thing. When you move your program from one PC to another, it should give the same output. It should work like it is expected to. Okay. Now uh, high performance as in Java is a language which usually consumes the program which is written usually consumes less amount of resources. So like if we are starting Android Studio right now, so if you look into it, Android Studio is a very laggy software. Not laggy, our configuration is not up to date. So that is consuming high amount of hardware resources, CPU time, and all those things. So Java is very efficient in that manner, and its performance is high. Time complexity is low. Okay, so that is what you mean by high performance. Should visit this link and rectify all the related uh, small definitions about this each topic. In case of answer on features of Java shows up. So let's begin with Java programming format. Okay. So this is a basic programming format or layout of your Java program. Fine. Uh, Here you, you can have one more thing in the top section. That would be your, what we can say is the import section, where you import related libraries. Okay, that would be above this. It is not included in this photo. So what all things are included, we'll look into that. Everything in Java is a class. Okay, so here we are defining a class named as hello world. Fine, we are using a class named as hello world here, and the keyword for making hello world a class is class itself, CLAS, and public here is an access specifier that everyone can access this class, सबको access दे दिया है. So the curly braces which you see here, okay, these are known as delimiters in Java. So delimiters are actually mark the code block, कोड कहाँ से चालू हो रहा है और कहाँ से खत्म हो रहा है. So particular public class begins here and it ends here. So this class के अंदर जो भी है that is shown or mentioned by using curly braces. So now next important thing in a class is the main method. So in order to create a real-time object or a dynamic object of a class, you always need a main method. Without a main method you cannot create an object of a class. So main method ka syntax you should learn it by heart. Like main method should always be public static void, and its name should be main, completely in smaller case, and its parameter is always string, square brackets, and args. Now we'll come back to each of these word and its detailed explanation later. What is public, what is static, what is static, what is void, and what is this string, square brackets, and args. String, square brackets, and args will come to this in this session itself, but public static void will go into this later. But for now you should learn by heart that how a main method is written. It's public static void main. You can remember it as an acronym, that is PSVM, that is public static void main, and its parameter is string args. Now here system dot print dot println is the simple print statement which will give out hello world on your screen. Okay, so that's that, and you can go through this small definitions in the box. in order to learn about the programming format. This is what you can write if it comes to, if the question is asking for a programming format in Java. Okay, so let's now look into next topic. That's Java tokens. Now, a token is the smallest element of the program that is meaningful to the compiler. Now, everything you look into, you see in the slide, all this content, public, class, hello world, each and every word, each and every smallest word, public is a token, class is a token, hello world is a token, even the curly brace is a token. So the smallest component or the breakdown part of the Java program is your token. So then tokens are further divided into different categories, as public is not same as hello world. This curly brace is not the same thing as public. Okay. So how are this differentiated? We look into that. The first category is keywords. Now keywords are something that you will find always in smaller case, completely in smaller case letters. And these keywords have predefined meaning in Java. उनका definition पहले से language को पता है. The compiler knows what abstract means, what assert means. When you type this, they will be given in green color. As you see, they are mentioned in green color, but we use notepad, so we don't get that color effect. Let's concentrate. They are in smaller case and they are predefined. You cannot use this anything, मतलब आपको boolean ये नाम use करना है. You cannot use it for something else. Its meaning will always stay boolean, what is known to the compiler. These are all. This is a list of keywords mentioned in Java, and you do not need to know all of these, but you need to know some of, learn four to five of these. You'll automatically, you know, get to know about them. You don't need to explicitly put them, rectify this thing. Okay, you will come to know. You will gradually learn them as we go through the course. So these are the keywords which have some default meaning: abstract, break, catch. There are numerous others. Okay. Next thing we come to is identifiers. Now, what is identifier? Identifiers are used as general terminology for naming variables, function and arrays. So whatever custom name you give, आप कुछ भी ऑब्जेक्ट बनाते हो, आप कोई भी क्लास बनाते हो, आप कोई भी वेरिएबल बनाते हो, whatever you name you give to those, that is your identifier. Now these identifiers have some naming conventions, some rules that you have to follow while doing this identifiers, while naming these identifiers. You cannot name anything what comes to your mind. There are small rules you should remember. They are not that difficult to remember as well. And one thing, that is the only symbol, special symbol that is used in an identifier name. अगर आपको लिखना है योगेश -1, that is not allowed, but you can use the underscore symbol. Only special symbol that is allowed in the name of an identifier is the underscore, nothing else. No dollars, no ampersands, no star symbols. Okay, that is your identifier. Now let's see what are invalid identifiers. Once you know what all things are invalid, rest everything falls under valid category, right? So invalid things are very few. You cannot see, the first one is invalid because it contains a space. So you cannot leave a space in the name of an identifier. Okay, you have to write your identifier as a one word, one simple small unit word. Okay, you cannot leave a space. Second thing is begins with a digit. You can add digit anywhere except the beginning. You cannot write one geek, two geek, 1 2 3 geek. Okay, you can write geeks 1 2 3. You can write geeks 2 3 4 anywhere. You can write GE24KS. Everything is fine, but you should not use digits in the beginning of an identifier. Now, third one is wrong because A plus C. What I said earlier was only underscore symbol is used while naming an identifier. Okay, so you cannot use plus. Same goes with the next one. There's a hyphen, and in last one they have used underscores. But the thing is, they also used an ampersand, which is not allowed. So that's why they are invalid. So you should remember, it should not begin with a number. There should be no spaces, and there should be no other special symbol other than the uh, underscore. Okay, so constants or literals. So constants are also like normal variables, but the only difference is their values cannot be modified by the program once they are defined. So remember one thing: whenever you come across constants, the keyword for declaring a variable as constants is final. Okay. Keyword for declaring a variable as constants is final. You should remember it. It's completely in smaller case at it as it is a predefined keyword. So final, and what is the meaning of an actual constant? So A variable when declared without the keyword final, सिर्फ data type और variable name से declare किया, you can change its value later in the program. If you write int a is equals to 10, you can change it to int a is equals to 20 later on, okay, whenever you need it or whenever you want it, okay. But when you use the keyword final, you write final int a is equals to 10. You cannot change that value later. It remains 10 throughout the program. That is all you need to know about constants or literals. You cannot change their value later, and the only keyword you need to remember is final, which is added at the beginning of the declaration. So that's about constants and literals. Now let's move on to the special symbols. Special symbols rather will go however the sequence is given. So brackets, first one is square brackets, and square brackets are used in the initialization of an array. We'll come to the array at the end part of this lecture. So how are arrays defined? In declaration of arrays, we need to use this special square brackets. Now parentheses are used in function calls, okay, or passing the parameters. You need to use parentheses. Also the methods, when you call certain methods on an object, you need to use this normal parentheses. Next thing is the braces or the curly braces. Those are the delimiters, as I said. They mark the beginning and end of the code block. We discussed about that earlier. Now coming to the comma. So when in later parts of the course, we'll see how to pass parameters to an object or a constructor. So when we pass those parameters, they are to be separated. मतलब first parameter, second parameter अलग कैसे दिखा है is separated using a comma. Comma is almost similar how it's used in normal English language. Okay, semicolon. Here it's given semicolon is an operator that essentially invokes something called as an initialization list. Okay, we'll dive into that later. For now, you must remember that semicolon marks the end. Semicolon acts as a full stop. Okay, so whenever you are done with a statement, you have to end it with a semicolon in Java. If you write import java.util.scanner, you're importing a library, you have to end it with a semicolon. When you declare a variable int a is equals to 10, you have to end it with a semicolon. Your semicolon is a full stop. Okay. Next thing is an asterisk. Asterisk is used to create pointer variables. We don't have pointer variables in Java in our syllabus. So you need to just know that asterisks are used for declaring pointer variables. Next one is assignment operator. Assignment operator is your equal to symbol. So when you say int a is equals to 10, तो a में वैल्यू कौन सा स्टोर हो रहा है 10, and which is the assignment operator, what is assigning that a the value 10, that is that equal to, so that is your assignment operator. So these are the what we discussed above: square brackets, parenthesis, curly braces, semicolon, star, and the equal to. Okay. Next thing is the operators. I have not included anything about operators in the slide because the slide would be too long, and that's just copy paste thing going on. So we'll just visit the link now, okay, and study from there. So operators in Java. So there is a 11 point long list, but you need to mostly know the names of all of these, but actually what comes into practice are, I'll say, first five you should know very thoroughly. Rest of those we do not use them that often. Okay, they are not that important, but you should know the names of them. And in case you want to know about them in deeper, and you can go through this complete documentation. Everything is included here, all the 11 things. And no, 11th one is interesting question. So there are only 10 things you need to know. Precedence and associativity we'll discuss the first five operators. In case you're not clear with any of 6, 7, 8, 9, and you want to know about them, ask in the group and we'll explain it to you. Okay. So let's look into arithmetic operators first. First, arithmetic operators are star, front slash, modulo or percent symbol, addition and subtraction. So what a star does is multiplication. Okay, so when you want to do 2 multiplied by 3, you write 2 star 3. When you want to do perform division, you can use a front slash. So next thing is the percent symbol or modulo. So what is a modulo? Modulo basically gives you the remainder. Fine. So when you write 10 modulo 7, what will be the remainder when 10 is divided by 7? So when 10 is divided by 7, we get 7 1 the 7 and 7 is subtracted from 10. So the remainder is 3. So the answer would be 3. That is how modulo works. Next thing is addition. You use plus. For subtraction, you use minus. Okay. So this is an example of using those operators. This is a fairly easy example. You can read and understand. Also read the comments that are very helpful to interpret the code. Okay. Yeah, also when we use the plus operator with strings, okay, it's done in one of these. Okay, yeah, string x is equals to thank and y is equals to u. It's mentioned x का value thank है, y का value u है, and when you do x plus y, it will combine or concatenate the two strings. It will give the output as thank you. Okay, that is what you need to remember. When you add two strings, it concatenates and makes it into a single word. That is thank you. So now let's move on to unary operators. Unary operators are operators that are used with only one variable. First one, arithmetic, we use with two variables, na? A plus b, a divided by b, a minus b. Okay, but unary operators are the ones which we use only with one variable. So minus a. When you write minus a, the value of a में जो भी value है, that will turn into negative. 10 है तो minus 10 हो जाएगी. Unary plus is used to make the value positive. You don't need to explicitly specify the positive value. By default, it is taken as positive. Okay, so these are the easy ones. Now this is where you need to pay attention: the increment operator and the decrement operator. And there are two subsections in them, and that are post increment and pre increment. Okay, so the increment operator is plus plus and the decrement operator is minus minus. So what this plus plus does is increases the value of the variable as used with it by 1. So if it's given a plus plus, a का जो भी value है, a we are assuming 10 is 10 from the beginning, so let's keep it that way. So when you write a plus plus, a becomes 11. Okay, when you write a minus minus, a becomes 9. So this is your increment and decrement operator. So now let's look what is post increment and what is pre increment. So you can use the increment operator on both sides of the variable. That is, you can write a plus plus as well as you can write plus plus a. So there is a slight change in the effect what it's caused. So now let's see what this program does. Okay, here a ka value is 20, b ka value is 10, c ka value is 0, and d is equals to 20. The first statement after in the main method, int a is equals to 20, b 10, and so on. Okay, so let's see. It's first one. What it's doing is c is equals to plus plus a. A का value क्या है 20. But how does the assignment take place? Remember, always the assignment takes place from right to left. So what happens first? What is encountered first is plus plus. मतलब पहले क्या हो रहा है राइट में इंक्रीमेंट हो रहा है. So a का वैल्यू क्या है 20, वो हो जाएगा 21 प्लस प्लस a और c में स्टोर हो जाएगा 21. Now let's look at the next point. What will happen in second statement, that is c equals to b plus plus. अब इधर क्या हो रहा है, assignment will take place from right to left. Okay, right में क्या है b का वैल्यू क्या है 10. तो पहले इंक्रीमेंट हो रहा है क्या, नहीं. फर्स्ट वी आर राइटिंग b इज इक्वल c इज इक्वल टू b मीन्स c में b का वैल्यू स्टोर हो जाएगा. सो c इज 0 currently, so it will become 10. C will be assigned 10 and then B's value will become 11. So first one में increment हुआ value C में store हुआ. Second one में the value of B, original value of B will be stored in C and then B's value will increase by 1. So that is how post increment and pre increment works. Okay, pre is the first case is the pre increment, second case is the post increment. When you write plus plus, it increases by 1, and when you write minus minus, it decreases by 1. Okay, so these are the outputs. Go through this example carefully and match and write down whatever output you think it will be and match with this afterwards. Okay? The assignment operator, as we discussed earlier, is the equal to symbol, and it works from right to left. जो भी value right में दी है वो left वाले variable में assign हो जाएगी. That's all you need to know. Now there are some compound statements. When you say a plus plus, by default increment is by 1, but in case you want to increment a number by 2, 2 से बढ़ाना है, 3 से बढ़ाना है. Okay, so here we have, for example, instead of a equals to a plus 5, we can write a plus equals to 5. So this statement a is equals to a plus 5 is compounded, or रिटर्न इन अ शॉर्टकट वे, दैट इज a प्लस इक्वल्स टू 5. जो a का जो भी वैल्यू होगा, सपोज a is 10, a will become 15 here, and you are avoiding a little bit of syntax or letters. Okay, so that is how it works. So when you write plus equal to 5, 5 से बढ़ेगा. When you write minus equal to 5, it will decrease by 5. When you write star equal to 5, it will get multiplied by 5. When you write divide, division, and modulo, remainder by 5. So that is how these operators work. But you can always use this classic syntax instead. If you think this is not your piece of cake, you can always go with the classic syntax. Okay, this is an example of the same. Go through this, then jot down your answers and match with it. Now comes the relational operators. What are relational operators? Relational operators are used for comparison. Okay, relational operators are used for comparison. Later we'll learn about if statements, while statements, in which we have to write certain conditions. Imagine if you want to check कि some value is put in A by the user, आप नहीं दे रहे हो, some value is put in B by the user, so you want to check, compare कौन सा बड़ा है कौन सा छोटा है. Okay, if they are equal, so at that time you will use these operators. Okay? So double equal to is your comparison operator. You're comparing whether A equal to B. Okay, second one, exclamation equal to. Exclamation stands for not. Remember, exclamation is a negative symbol, stands for not. This is your classic less than equal to, greater than, and greater than equal to, as you have been learning in school days too. So we'll directly dive into the example. See, you're writing. I'm not going through the example, what it's doing, that you need to look into that deeper later on, but let's see. It's checking whether A is equal to B. That is, if both values are equal. Second one, it's checking whether A is less than B. Third one is checking whether A is less than or equal to B. Here, equal to case is not inclusive in the second one, and in third one, equal to case is inclusive. That's the only difference. Fourth one is same, it's just greater and greater than equal to, and the last one is not equal to. Okay, so you go through this program, jot down your answers, and then match with the output. Okay, next thing you need to know is logical operators. There are only two and very important logical operators. Those are logical and logical or. So now let's take an example of a login form. You want to log into a website. So when you want to log in, you need to provide a username as well as a password. Okay. So when you do that, both things should match, right? When you are giving a username and a password, both things should be correct. The username should be however whatever you registered earlier, and the password is whatever you gave earlier. अगर दोनों में से सिर्फ username correct हो, password wrong हो, and still you get a login, that's not ethical. That's not right, right? So in such conditions, you will use the AND operator when you want to check two or more things, two or more conditions to be true. Okay, so when logical AND returns, so these operators will return a boolean value. We'll dive into boolean later deeply. Now let's remember that boolean returns a value true or false, हाँ या ना बताता है. So let's see, अगर यूजरनेम भी सही है और पासवर्ड भी सही है, दोनों सही है, तो it will tell हाँ ठीक है इसको लॉगिन दे दो. And if the username is wrong and the password is correct, or vice versa, password is wrong, username is correct, it once one condition becomes false, right? So whatever becomes false, it will return the value as false and it will deny your login. Now completely opposite of AND is OR. OR में क्या है, you have to remember. If you remember AND well, you can remember OR very easily. और एंड में दोनों केसेस हाँ होने चाहिए थे, एंड इन लॉजिकल और यू विल हैव टू हैव ओनली वन ऑफ दोज केसेस एज यस. अगर आपका यूजर नेम भी सही है तो आपको एक्सेस दे देगा अगर आपने और यूज किया. अगर आपका पासवर्ड भी सही है तो आपको एक्सेस दे देगा यूजर नेम गलत होते हुए भी. Okay, so that's the difference between logical and logical or. And you can go through this program again. So next one are bitwise, and as I said, they are not that important, but you need to remember their names, shift operators. And if you want to know about them more in more detail, you can ask it about in the group. So the next important thing is the precedence of the operators. This usually comes in MCQ questions, wherein you are given various variables and find the value a plus plus minus b minus c. तो पहले क्या करें? In maths we apply the rule, BODMAS rule, right? Brackets of division, addition, sorry, multiplication, addition and subtraction. So it's not the same with the programming language में ये table होता है, जावा का ये है, and you have to remember अगर उसमें प्लस प्लस होगा वो equation में, तो you have to do plus plus. The first thing your importance you have to give is to plus plus. Then if that is greater than equal to, then you have to give importance to greater than equal to. Then comes the logical and, logical or, bitwise and, bitwise or. Okay, so you have to go through them and you have to remember this list, but usually try to remember the common ones. Bitwise and all don't usually come, but still you have to remember this list. And this is the associativity. How do you calculate them? In what sequence do you follow? Okay, from right to left or left to right. This also changes. If you have these ones, okay, these ones, so you have to follow them from right to left. Ulta jana hai, from right to left you have to go on solving. If you have the classic arithmetic operators, you have to go from left to right. That is what you need to remember. Okay, fine. This is your precedence and associativity. Basically, this site you must go through this link and study all the operator for objective type questions. Alright. So next comes Java statements. We'll quickly go through this. The video is taking too long. Okay. So first and the most classic programming statements, that is if else. Okay. If means yani, हुआ तो, like something like that in Hindi. Okay, so if else statement block, here you have a condition if, and there is a expression enclosed or a condition inside the normal parenthesis. So this is what is to be evaluated. अगर a का value 10 है, if a equal to 10, here you will use those relational operators. If a equal to 10, then this block of code will be executed. बट ए का वैल्यू 20 है, तो इफ ए इक्वल टू 20 क्या रिटर्न करेगा? फॉल्स रिटर्न करेगा, नो रिटर्न करेगा. सो ये कंडीशन रॉन्ग हो गया, राइट? So it will jump on to the next case when the output is false. Okay, when it is false, it will jump on to next case. Else वरना, तो else if it will determine, check this condition. Okay, it will check whatever the condition is. If a's value is 100, अगर नहीं है, so if it is false, it will jump on to the next else if condition or else part. Okay, you can write how many else ifs you want, that is up to you. And if none of the condition, if भी नहीं, else if भी नहीं, 10 के 10 else if भी नहीं, it whatever is given here in the else block will be executed. Okay, else if and if blocks are else if and else blocks are optional. Okay, for an if statement, but you can include them. Okay, all right. If else if का ये true हो गया, this will be executed. If the result is true, it will jump here. If the result is true, it will execute this one itself. Okay, so it goes on step by step, check करते जाता है, ये नहीं तो ये नहीं तो ये, कुछ भी नहीं तो else. Okay, do you get this? Next statement we'll look into is these are the relational operators which we saw. This is a less than b, a less than equal to b, a greater than b. Okay, that is discussed that earlier. And for in detail, if you want an answer to write about if else, you cannot convey it in your own words, you can visit this link and you can check it out. Next one is switch expression. First we'll see how it works. The switch expression is evaluated once. All right, the expression is compared with the value of each case. If there is a match associated, the code is executed, and break and default are keywords and they are optional. So now let's see how this works. If I have an declaration above here, I have a declaration that is char a is equals to x. Okay, I have this declared above. Okay, and what I will write here in the expression part, is a. Fine. So I will write switch a. Okay, so the expression will be evaluated only once. जो भी value of a है वो switch case को पता चल जाएगा. So value of a is x. Okay, so first case we have to use the syntax as switch and case. Case keyword है यहाँ पे, break keyword है यहाँ पे, default keyword है यहाँ पे. Okay, so in case if यहाँ पे आपका a का वैल्यू x है और ये केस में क्या दिया है, a का वैल्यू क्या चाहिए, x दिया है, So this matches, okay. So this code block will be executed. Whatever is written here will be executed, and a subsequent break, मतलब loop से बाहर आ जाओ, pass the control to whatever is after switch, जो भी यहाँ पे नीचे कोड होगा. That break will do, it will get you out of the loop. It will get you here out of the switch case. So x के value match हो गया. And if हमने a का वैल्यू x ना रखते हुए, if a का वैल्यू was something like u, okay, so what will switch case do? a का वैल्यू u है, a का वैल्यू x है नहीं, तो ये skip कर देगा ये केस. a का वैल्यू what is, a का वैल्यू u है, y है नहीं, तो it will skip this one. And a का वैल्यू अभी u तो कभी हमें मिला ही नहीं, केस we haven't written a case u, we haven't mentioned u के लिए क्या करना है, this is not present. So what it will do is default is जैसे if else में else होता है वैसे switch में default होता है. So for all other letters or whatever value a has, it will execute the code block in default block, from the default block. So this is your switch case. You can write this photo as your syntax, and you can mention this in your answer if you are asked about the switch case. Now let's look at the while loop, while condition. So while is a loop which condition will be checked again and again, reiterate hota rahega loop. Okay, so this is your condition here in while. Fine. So if your x is equal to y, you have mentioned this, अब declare किया है, okay, and you have written here if x equal to y, मतलब x का value y है क्या, हाँ, so it will enter in your loop. अगर true answer आया x का value y है, तो it will enter in your loop and code block will be executed. After this code block is executed, it will not go out of the loop, rather it will go again to the top. It will evaluate again कि x का वैल्यू अभी भी ये एग्जीक्यूट होने के बाद भी y है क्या. अगर आपके कोड ब्लॉक का वैल्यू x कुछ भी चेंज हो गया हो, z हो गया हो, ये कोड ब्लॉक के बाद इधर आपने असाइन कर दिया हो x इक्वल्स टू z, तो ये while वो लूप में कंडीशन सेटिस्फाई होगा नहीं होगा, so it will jump out when it gives the statement gives false. Once the code block is executed, every time it will check the condition. True है तो फिर से execute करेगा, true है तो reiterate, true है तो reiterate, अगर false है तो it will jump out of the loop. That is how your while statement works. Okay. For detailed answer on while statement, again you can visit this link. All right. Now let's look at the for loop. For loop here is used for iterating over a fixed number of times. अभी while में कितने बार iterate होगा we don't know. जब तक condition true है वो iterate होता रहेगा, loop execute होता रहेगा. जैसे ही condition false हो गया it will jump out of the loop. But in for we can do it for a fixed number of times. If you know I want to do this task for 10 times, आपको user से 10 नाम input लेने हैं, you know. So at that time you will do this in for. This same result can be achieved using the while statement. Okay, this same result can be achieved using the while statement. Will, yeah, if anyone has a doubt, I'll explain it to him how. All right, but this can be very easily done using for. Okay, in for there are three parameters passed to the for statement. Okay, three parameters are passed to the for statement. That is initialization of the variable. First, int I is equal to 0. That is I नाम का variable integer type का initialize हो गया, उसका value है 0. Second one is the condition or the expression, and third one is your increment operators. तो first one है initialization I0, I less than 5 or I plus plus. So what this particular for loop will do, first I का value 0 हो गया है, okay, I का value 0 हो गया, ये प्रोसेसर के अंदर हो गया, okay, this is in your processor, and then I's value is less than 1 and I plus plus, and it will do system.out.println. This is your simple print statement in Java. Okay, so it will print I का first value क्या है 0, I को print करना है right screen पे, then it will go again up, it will check, फिर क्या होगा I प्लस प्लस हो जाएगा, I का वैल्यू 0 से 1 हो जाएगा ना. So now what will do, it will again do print I का वैल्यू, that will give you 1, then again it will go up till what value will it print, I less than 5, that is it will print up to I का वैल्यू less than 5, it will print 0 1 2 3 4. अब जब I का वैल्यू 5 पे जाएगा, is it still I less than 5, is the condition true, no, I is equal to 5. So it will now come out of the for loop and your program ends. So what is your output is 0 1 2 3 4. This is how a for loop works in Java. Again, you have the link for the for loop. Now let's look at break and continue statements in Java quickly. Fine. So the Java break and continue statements, you can use it in switch or any other loop. So whenever you write continue in Java, one iteration in a loop is if a specified condition occurs, the continues with the next iteration in the loop. मतलब यहाँ पे क्या दिया है if के बाद continue दिया है okay so whenever continue occurs the iteration will stop there itself okay उसके नीचे execute नहीं होगा नीचे का code it will jump and check the condition again okay this is what continue means मतलब continue मतलब सीधा condition पे while loop पे जैसे जाके बार बार चेक करता है वो चेक करने तुरंत continue के बाद ऊपर चला जाएगा loop में चेक करने whether the condition is still valid and what is the break statement it breaks you out of the loop that is all you need to remember break आते ही loop के totally बाहर आप आ जाओगे whenever break is encountered that is all about break. So now let's jump into data types. Data types in Java are basically divided into two categories, primitive and non-primitive data types. Okay, and I have jotted down the commonly used data types. So first, let's see what is primitive and what is non-primitive. A primitive data type would be something that is predefined, like the keywords. Okay, वो Java को पता है what is an int, and a primitive data type will always be in completely in smaller cases like integers को कैसे लिखते हैं int that is what I mean when I say completely in smaller cases. Float is written as float. There is no capital case in primitive data types. So, and the second part is non-primitive data types. We'll come back to them later. So, let's learn about what all things these primitive data types are inclusive of. So, primitive data types contains Boolean values. So, Boolean values are of two types. One is true and other one is false. In Java, true and false are completely in smaller case because they are primitive. True and false completely in smaller case. Second important data primitive data type are the numeric ones. Okay, so in numeric ones again further division is made and character and integral. This is the division made. For character, all you need to remember is char. Okay, in C we used to store a string as a character array, but in Java it's a complete different class. We'll look into that later. So a char or a character that is a single character is a primitive data type. Char will be written in complete small cases. char define करते वक्त. And an integral is divided into two parts, integer and a floating point. Okay. Now, what are integers? Integers are negative numbers, zero and positive numbers. Integers में आप point decimal point वाले values नहीं लिख सकते. And what are floating point numbers? Floating point numbers or double are the ones which are decimal values. You can write pi ka value 3.14, okay, or you can write double. So what is the difference between a float and a double? A float is a shorter decimal value. You can write it up to certain number of digits. कि 3.1467 ऐसा something digits तक ही valid है उसके बाद का value लेगा नहीं computer. And when you mention of double उसका decimal value is much more larger. You can write the number up to 10 decimal places in a double. Okay, so usually you don't use these parts of the integers which are long int, byte int, short and long. You just use the int that is sufficient for us in our programming. And these are all primitive. And what is the main difference between primitive and non-primitive is that primitive will always be in smaller case. Okay. Now, what is a non-primitive data type? Non-primitive is something that is user defined जो आप define कर सकते हो आपको खुद का data type चाहिए कल कुछ special सा number आपने in Eureka you make a special number and you want to represent it in Java you can make your custom data type using this primitive data types. So here in Java strings when you use a string उसका S capital होता है whatever starts with a capital letter in Java is a class. It is user defined. Okay, so string is not a primitive data type. Java को पता नहीं है string क्या है. It is an external library which is made available to Java. It is not a character array. It is a special library. So these are the five of them which we need to know. Right, integers, floats, double, boolean, character and string, among which first five are primitive and fifth one is non-primitive which is user defined. Okay, so int, float, double, boolean and character. Integers will have values 0, negative values and positive values. Floats will have decimal points up to a smaller length. Double will have decimal points up to huge length. Boolean will have two values, true and false. Characters will have single letter values. Strings, what do strings have? Strings are a non-primitive data type. String is a class in Java, and also strings are non-primitive, hence their S is capital and they are not written in completely smaller way. That is all you need to know about data types in Java. If you remember this chart, it is sufficient to categorize based on that. And if you want you need to write some things, a lengthy answer in the exam, you can look up. Okay, I haven't included a link about data types. You can easily Google data types V3 schools. You'll get the link and you can include this, but this is self-sufficient in itself. Okay. All right. Now let's look into typecasting. Uh, Suppose you have two boxes, okay? You have a bigger box and you have a smaller box. Now, when you try to fit in the smaller box in the bigger box, छोटा box बड़े box में डालने जाओगे, so it will be pretty easy for you. छोटा box आराम से बड़े में बैठ जाएगा, okay? You don't need to do any efforts, okay? But at the same time, if you want to fit the bigger box in the smaller box, बड़े box को small box में डालने जाओगे, so that is not possible, right? आपको बड़े बॉक्स का कुछ डायमेंशंस कट करना होगा या फिर उसको फोल्ड करना होगा या किसी तरह यू हैव टू क्रैम इट इनटू द स्मॉलर बॉक्स ओके यू हैव टू थ्रो आउट सम स्टफ आउट ऑफ द बिगर बॉक्स कट इट आउट ओके so that is how this typecasting works. So in Java also there are various data types as we learned, okay? Integer, long, float, double, shorts, bytes, okay? So every data type is assigned a specific size, okay? So integer को कुछ size allotted है, floats को कुछ size allotted है, और doubles को कुछ size allotted है. तो there are two types of Java typecastings. One is widening casting and narrowing casting. So whatever is widening casting, that will take place automatically. That will be fitting your smaller box in a larger box. Easily हो जाएगा, कुछ effort नहीं लगना. And narrowing typecasting में आपको बड़ा box है वो छोटे box में fit करना है. मतलब you have to cut out, throw out some stuff. Okay, you have to truncate some data. ठीक है. So first we'll look into narrowing typecasting. So यहाँ पे sequence दिया है. So that goes like byte. Byte is the shortest. Then in length, I'm talking about the data allocated. Byte is smallest. Short, char, int. It is in increasing order. As it goes to the right, it goes on increasing. तो double के पास सबसे ज़्यादा data allocated है, सबसे ज़्यादा space होता है. So let's take example of the int. Suppose you have a int. Int a equals to 9 है, and you convert that to a double. ओके सो इजीली 9 है तो वो डबल में कन्वर्ट हो जाएगा क्योंकि इंट को बहुत कम डेटा अलोकेटेड है और डबल को ज्यादा अलोकेटेड है तो 9 को 9.0 बन जाएगा इजीली यू डोंट हैव टू डू एनी एफर्ट्स इन दैट कैन बी डन ऑटोमेटिकली ओके but on the same hand when you have a double that is you have a number pi का value stored है 3.14 and you want to convert it into an integer. What is an integer? Negative, zero और positive values. So 3.14 को integer करेंगे तो क्या होएगा सिर्फ 3 बचेगा decimal values निकल जाएंगे. So you are putting a larger set of data into a smaller space. तो now you have to throw out some stuff. जैसे आप 0.14 उसमें से truncate कर दोगे निकाल दोगे and you will store only 3. So what you are throwing that cannot be that task cannot be assigned to the computer ना that should be done in accordance with the user कि क्या क्या throw करना है क्या क्या रखना है okay so that has to be done manually you have to manually typecast that is when you try to fit in smaller data type into a larger data type that is automatic and when you have to do it manually when you fit a data type of larger type into a smaller type. Now let's see how does this actually takes place. Okay, this is your main method and your int myint is declared. Myint has value of 9 and then you're storing myint in a double variable का नाम क्या है my double and you're storing myint into the double. तो 9 को double में store कर रही हो 9 का value क्या है 9.0 ओके डबल डेसिमल में 9 का वैल्यू क्या आ जाएगा 9.0 so there is no such need for मैन्युअल कन्वर्जन, ऑटोमेटिकली वो स्मॉलर बॉक्स को, स्मॉलर इंट को बड़े वाले स्पेस में डाल देगा. सो सिस्टम डॉट आउट डॉट प्रिंट एल एन मतलब प्रिंट करेगा माई इंट, सो इट विल गिव यू 9, and when you print my double it gives you 9.0. Okay, so this is your automatic casting happening here. Now here we'll try to fit in a larger value into a smaller value. Okay, so here we have declared my double as 9.78. All right, 9.78 एक decimal value है, and then you are converting it to an integer. Now remember, integers are zero, negative numbers or positive numbers, no decimal numbers. तो जब इंटीजर में डालोगे तो वो 0.78 क्या करना है वो कंप्यूटर को पता नहीं है, राइट? वो ट्रंकेट करना है. सो यू हैव टू डू योर मैन्युअल टाइप कास्ट. यू हैव टू से कि ये जो डबल हमने डिक्लेयर किया है यहाँ, राइट, यू हैव टू नाउ टाइप कास्ट इट इनटू एन इंट. मतलब bigger box is to be put into a smaller box, hence you have to say int my int, and you have to mention this in parentheses int, that in which data type you are typecasting it. You are typecasting my double जिसका वैल्यू है 9.78 into an integer, hence you have to explicitly or manually specify कि double को int में convert करना है. That's why you have to specify here in the parentheses as int. तो इसका वैल्यू हो जाएगा integer में 9. So when you print my double it will be 9.78, and when you print my int it will be 9. Our outputs are given. So this is what is the difference between automatic typecasting and manual typecasting. This is your typecasting here. Go through this slide once more. Yeah. Now let's look into arrays, one-dimensional arrays. So what is an array? Array is an homogeneous collection of data. Suppose आपको 10 integers store करने हैं, or suppose we have a class of 120 students, so you have to store roll numbers of all those students. So you cannot store them separately in 120 variables, right? वो बहुत tedious हो जाएगा. You will have to write int a1, int a2, int v2, int c3, ऐसे 120 टाइप्स टाइप करेंगे क्या? नहीं. We'll rather store it in some sequence या फिर एक फॉर्मेटेड से एरे में स्टोर करेंगे जिसमें सीक्वेंशियली नंबर स्टोर हो जाएंगे 1 2 3 4. ओके, 1 से 120 तक. So what is array? Homogeneous collection of data. Now what does the word homogeneous here represent? That अगर आपने array बनाते वक्त स्पेसिफाई किया कि वो int है या फिर integer टाइप का है, तो उसमें सारे जो वैल्यूज है वो integer टाइप्स के ही होंगे. You cannot add a double, a float or a name in that. Okay, you have to add all the numbers of integer type. If you declare an array of string type, you have to add all strings in that array. सारे उसमें नाम होने चाहिए. A string, what is a string? Sequence of characters that is enclosed in double quotes. That is your string. Okay. So when declaring itself, you have to decide कि array किस चीज का बनाना है. Whether you have to store floats, you have to store int. आपका data type requirement क्या है? You have to create array according to that. So here we are learning about one dimensional arrays. One dimensional arrays क्या? जैसे यहाँ पे फोटो में दिखाया गया है, a single row of data. इसमें अभी यहाँ पे क्या stored है? 40, 55, 63, whatever you want. This is an integer array. Now these arrays are indexed. What is indexed? That is they are linear in nature. मतलब अगर आप 1 से 120 तक नंबर्स स्टोर कर रहे हो, लेट्स से रैंडम नंबर्स है, 1 से 120 नहीं लेते, विल टेक रैंडम नंबर्स. अगर रैंडमली कुछ नंबर स्टोर किए हैं, अब आपको जानना है कि वो एरे में 15th पोजीशन पे कौन सा नंबर है. So what you will do, you will go on counting 1 2 3 4 5. If you start doing this every time, it will be very tedious task. It will be a very tedious task and hence will take too much of time. इसलिए arrays are indexed. So every place in array, these columns in array are numbered. You know that this column is number 0. This is number 1. This is number 2. So every column has their specific index, and indexing always begins from 0. Remember, not from 1. Indexing in arrays will begin from 0. And array length. What is the array length here? You can count and find out 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 and 9. This is the length of your array. Your first index of the array is 0. Last index of the array is 8. So you can derive that length of your array is last index plus 1. That is the length of your array. Okay. So what is an array? Array is a homogeneous collection of data. So data is stored in a homogeneous manner. homogeneous, that is same type of data का ही array होगा. An array is sequenced storage, you can say, in a memory space. Now how arrays are initialized in Java. We'll see that. Okay. So the thing which we learned, special symbols के वक्त, we had square brackets which we were going to use it during declaration of arrays. So here we come. So पहले ही हमें decide करना है कि what this array will store. This array, particularly first one, will store integers. That's why it's given int. Now this int array is your variable name, जो आप कुछ भी रख सकते हो, खुद का नाम भी रख सकते हो. And this square brackets define that this is an array. अगर आप लिखोगे int array और and if you don't give the square brackets, उसका मतलब हो गया int array नाम का एक वेरिएबल है जिसमें एक इंटीजर वैल्यू स्टोर होगी 6 या 7 या जो भी आपको रखनी है. But when you provide this square bracket, it says that this is an array, this is a sequence of data that will store multiple values. So whenever you want to store multiple values, you declare an array, and this array has to be of a fixed length. Now, here while creating this array is of length 8, okay? This array, given array, is of length 8. So now while creating the array, you have to decide कि array का length कितना रखना है. We have to decide two factors. ये array का length कितना होना चाहिए and this array का जो data type कौन सा store करेगा, whether it will store integers, strings, byte, short, whatever. Okay, so let's check out some other. This is a byte array. This will store data type of byte, and this is short. This is just the declaration. This is not the initialization of array. We will see how it is initialized. So these are different types. You have to mention which type of array you want, and if it is an array, you have to indicate it using the square bracket. Okay, now let's see an array of a reference to objects, my class array object A. Now here if you see, this array is of this array here is of object AO. What does that mean? This is an array which will store your particular object. ऐसा नहीं है कि integer ही store कर सकता है. You can store whatever you want. Now this will store several objects. What is object? Object is an instance of class, the car and blueprint what we saw earlier. So your car is the real life object, that is your real life instance of the class. So this array will store AO नाम है इस array का, and it will store several objects. This statement means that. Okay, here it says collection CA. Now collection is particularly a class which is defined by the user. यहाँ पे कोई भी class आपका होगा तो it will store objects of that class collection के various objects वो ऐसे ही array में store करेगा. Okay, now let's move on, check on next slide. So this is your declaration part, right? This is your declaration part here, and this is your initialization part. This is actually creating an array in the memory. यहाँ पे सिर्फ int array बन गया, and here you are specifying the size of the array. See, by giving 20, you are saying you want 20 spaces of data type int. तो memory में एक section बन जाएगा of 20 spaces. Okay, 20 spaces in which integers can be stored. Integer can be stored in each one. So these two things, first one is declaration and second one is allocation. Now you can do this in a single line also. This is your single line thing. How you will do this? Int open square brackets. These square brackets can occur here, here, or here also. It doesn't make a difference. You can keep them here or after the name also. So what do we pass as a parameter in the main method? That is string square brackets args. So args is the name of the array and strings is the data type. So you are passing an array as the parameter, as a parameter to the main method, which is of data type string. Okay, what we saw earlier, that was the string array as the parameter to the main method. Now let's focus on this statement. Here we have, let's increase the opacity. What we have here is the integer. Okay, and int, and here are the square brackets. So square brackets indicates that it is an array. This is your custom name. You can give whatever. Equal to is the assignment operator. Here new keyword instantiates the object. That is, it will create an array in the memory. Okay, and this is your int keyword. This is again your call to the constructor, or you have to say, you have to copy this stuff same to same here. But in seconds time, when you specify it after the equal to symbol, you have to specify its size कि 20 columns का array बना रहे हैं. So this is combining both the statements. Okay, this is combining both the statements, right? Let's get it cleared. Huh? All right. Now let's move on. What all things you can do with an array? Huh? Array is a linear structure, a homogeneous collection of data. Now you can iterate through an array. What is now iteration? That you can jump through the elements in an array. You can go through the array. अगर आपके पास 10 elements 10 names stored है, तो आप one by one एक एक को access कर सकते हो. आप access कर सकते हो 0 पे कौन सा है, 1 पे कौन सा है, 2 पे कौन सा है. You can go through it. That is your iteration. Now how does this iteration work? Okay, so you are going to use a for loop for this. Here we are using a for loop for iteration. Okay, so let's see how this for loop works. Suppose there is an array here. Hmm? This array has say length. What is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 is the length of the array, and you're writing a for loop for it. So what you are doing in the for loop is for I is equals to 0. You have initialized the value of I, a variable I, as 0. Fine, that I is an integer. Okay, that is understood. I is less than the length of the array. Now what is the length of the array? Length of the array is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But what does the index number of arrays begin from 0, as I mentioned. So what is the index number of this? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. These are the index numbers of the arrays. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what is the length of the array? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You have 6 columns actually. The length of the array is 6. So I is less than array dot length. Now name of this array itself is given as array. Okay, this is your array. And array dot length will return me 6 here. So what will it give? I less than 6, and it goes from I plus plus. So initial value of I is 0, and what it is doing is printing. This is your print statement. Element at index I is array of I. Now what is the value of I? First it will print element at index. I'm not writing element at index completely. Element at index, first initial value is 0, array of I. अभी इधर 0 पे जो भी वैल्यू होगा, सपोज यहाँ पे 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 रखा हमने. हाँ, element at 0 is 1. Now next thing what will happen? I plus plus will happen. I plus plus will make this I initialize 0 as 1. Now this will become 1. And what will get printed? Array of I, square of brackets. Now I का value है 1, तो यहाँ पे 1 चला जाएगा. So this will become element at index 1 is, index 1 पे element क्या है? 2. Next will be element at index 2 is 3. Element at index 3 is 4. It will happen till what? What is the last index in the list? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. जब 5 पे आएगा, जब I 5 हो जाएगा, what will happen? 5 will be still less than 6, तो वो print करेगा finally कि 5 पे value है 6. When I will become 6, what will happen? Here the condition will be 6 less than 6, right? What will it become? False. 6 is not less than 6. 6 is in fact equal to 6. So it is not less than 6. Hence it will become false. The for loop ends and you get out of the loop. This is what you get as your results. Right? This is your result set. This is how you can iterate through an array. Alright? Now let's move on to how you can access the values of the array. So here you have defined a class GFG. This is your main method. See, this is what I was talking about. The parameter to the main method is an array of string. What is this? This is the data type string. What is this? This indicates it is an array. And what is args? Args is the name of the array. This parameter of your main method is a string array. Okay, we'll learn about it in deeper later, that what is the use of this array, how it is used. It is actually used for command line argument. You'll learn something like that later, so we'll see that. Now let's focus on arrays. Here we have a declaration of array whose data type is int and its name is arr, array. तो एक array बन गया whose data type will be int. Int integer values होंगे और उसका नाम है arr. इसका नाम है arr. And now here we are saying ARR is equals to new int, मतलब इनिशियलाइज हो गया, ये मेमोरी में एरे क्रिएट हो गया, इसका साइज कितना रखना है 5, 1 2 3 4 5, 5 बॉक्सेस का एरे बन गया. Now you are explicitly putting values in the array. How you will now put the values? इसका index number क्या होगा 0. Your index number would be 1, your 2, 3 and 4. Now you are saying arr, मतलब this array का 0th position पे we want to store 10. 0th position पे here you store 10. So here 10 will be stored. Rest of them will remain null as null or blank. Okay. When you say arr of 1 is equals to 20. So 1th position पे यहाँ पे होगा store 20. Everything regarding arrays is done using square braces. Look at this, square braces. So and so on. You are going on storing values. Arr of 2, here you will store 30. Arr of 3, here you will store 40. And arr of 4, here you will store 50. So this is your array ready. So what is an array? Let's revise. What is an array? An array is a homogeneous collection of data. Okay, it is indexed from beginning from 0. And there, what all methods we learned about array? We learned the method known as arr.length in this for loop. Right here, I is less than arr.length. Okay, so this gives the length of the array. Length of the array is the number of boxes or the divisions in it. Okay, so you can learn more about arrays on this link given here, and also multidimensional arrays are discussed. If you wish to learn them now itself, you can go for it and learn it. For this week, this is done. You have to submit your attendance or attentive span before Saturday that you have completed the work. Thank you.